Good afternoon. It's Sunday morning in Los Angeles. I'm Janet McGilligan. I came today to talk to you about perception versus reality on the war in the Sudan. There are a lot of players who would like to make this a very, very simple kind of a thing. It is not two generals fighting each other for control of the country. There have been a number of international players. The largest of them is the key financier for the Rapid Support Forces, which is the United Arab Emirates. You also have had Haftar, who fired one of his generals recently, who commanded the 128th Brigade, and he fired him because he said, I'm tired of fighting the Sudanese, I'm not going in there. You also have William Ruto of Kenya, who has gone in. On the other side, you have the Egyptians supporting the army. You also have Saudi Arabia, who is supporting the army. Interestingly enough, Britain and the United States, Britain, who is the former colonial overlord, for lack of a better term, they kind of have sat in the sidelines. And the United States has been miserably absent. And they've been miserably absent in this way that's rather upsetting. 25 million people have been affected by this horrific war. Currently, between 20 and 25 million people have terrible food shortages. Excuse me. There have been at least 7.2 million people who are displaced. Some of them are in refugee camps like Zamzam. Some of them have gone to neighboring countries. At least 1.4, I think, are in Cairo. So this is a humanitarian crisis that is enormous. And we cannot simplify this and say it is the former Vice President, Hemeti, who is fighting for control of resources, because Hemeti didn't have enough money to buy all of these people. He bought 25,000 Chadian boys, bought them. And I don't use that term lightly. He purchased them. When many of them were in Khartoum, they thought that they were fighting in the Yemeni war. And they were shocked that they weren't. And when the Sudanese armed forces captured these kids, and we're talking ages 8 to 12. The Arab families of Chad asked for the children to be returned. And instead of taking them as prisoners of war, the Sudanese armed forces returned them to their families. So you cannot equate the brutality of the RSF running over the top of dead bodies with their jeeps and gleefully posting this on Facebook, gleefully saying, look at what we've done. They've posted mass rapes. They have posted castrations. And what they have done is absolutely horrific. These are crimes against humanity. They will be fought in the international criminal courts. But interestingly enough, there was a bombing last night. It was early morning, dawn hours in Port Sudan of the airport. And what has happened is I'm trying to see if I can find some of the videos. What's happened is the airport itself wasn't hit with the runways. It was a fuel depot. And the fuel depot was probably targeted so that it would have the greatest impact to scare the largest number of people. Now, the timing of it is interesting, because tomorrow, on Monday, the International Court of Justice will hear the Sudanese arguments again and make a decision about whether or not the government of Sudan can sue the government of the United Arab Emirates for genocide. What has happened is definitely genocide. I worked on the genocide treaty in the Congress back in 1984 and 85. So I'm very familiar with what triggers genocide and what it is. And this is definitely exactly what's going on. Now, the bombing of the airport, it is or I should say the fuel depot, has been probably in retaliation for the Sudanese being able to surgically strike the United Arab Emirates cargo plane that illegally landed in Niala. And there are reports that there were 4 top commanders from the United Arab Emirates on that flight. The reason I say there are reports is I believe they were blown to bits, and I don't have any idea how they decided that there were 4 of them or came to that conclusion. But that retaliation may be discussed tomorrow in the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Hemeti, you've lost. You've lost the people. You will never be a ruler. None of your people will. The brutality that you have encouraged and trained and forced upon the citizens, innocent citizens of Sudan, won't be tolerated by the people who live there. And if you think you will ever be able to walk the streets of Khartoum, which looks like hell. There's no streetlights. The buildings are bombed out. This isn't a war. That is the stripping back of anything human or humane. And you have proven, Mohammed Dagalo and your cast of minions, that you are all going to see Satan instead of God. Thank you.